It's kind of weird. The only thing that I really regret about my Amazing Atheist channel is that I called myself the Amazing Atheist. And it's not because I was so egotistical that I called myself amazing. Because I am amazing, and you'd better fucking believe it. I just wish I hadn't called myself an atheist. And I am an atheist. I don't believe in God. I think the idea that there is a God that created the universe is completely preposterous. You know, I mean, I could see how someone might believe it in, you know, a more primitive time. But with the information we have access to now, I just, it's unfathomable that someone would, you know, look at Big Bang cosmology and say, oh no, it was God. God done it. Or look at human evolution and say, no, God. Or that God was guiding it. Evolution's real, but God was controlling it. Well, that's pointless. If there was a God, him using evolution would make no sense. Because he could just snap his fingers and then there's humanity. But anyway, I don't believe in God. But I wish I hadn't identified as an atheist because I'm just sick of ist. I'm just sick of all these isms floating around out there and the slavish devotion people have to them. Whether it be liberalism, conservatism, feminism, nihilism, anarchism, what have you. Is anyone just going to be a fucking human being again? Are we ever just going to get to the point where we all just have like our own thoughts and feelings and we don't have some fucking ideological prongs in the back of our heads telling us what to think, telling us what ideas are acceptable and what ideas are not acceptable? You know, you can't even have a conversation. Two people of different ideologies really can't even converse. They really can't. I mean, they can talk, but they can't have a conversation because neither of them is even thinking. Neither of them is even a functional human being with a brain capable of fucking processing information because they look at everything through the lens of whatever their ideology is. So anyone that says anything other than what is already acceptable within their ideology is going to be shunned as some sort of fucking pariah, outcast, whatever. And the funny thing about these people is that every one of them thinks that everyone else is closed-minded. Like the liberals, they think they're so open-minded and that the conservatives are such bad, horrible people. But liberals are just as fucking closed-minded as fucking conservatives. You know, like, this whole guns issue just proves that. Like, I mean, I watched Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks talk about this guy that broke into his house, and he said that he's glad he didn't have a gun because if he had a gun, it just would have made the situation worse. You know, maybe there are situations a gun would make worse, but, I mean, like, the conservative argument that a well-trained person with a gun could prevent more deaths in a situation where a crazy gunman is rampaging, that's just a fucking fact of reality. Because if there's a killer out there and he shoots 16 people, let's just say there was someone there that had a gun, and they shoot him before he shoots 16 people. You know, even if there's crossfire, that's like the big liberal argument. Like, there can be crossfire. Well, even if there is crossfire, let's say that I have a gun and I'm well trained to use it, and some crazy gunman comes into a room where I am, like I'm in a movie theater, let's just say, because of the Aurora, Colorado thing. I'm in a movie theater, I have a gun, I'm well trained to use it. Some crazy comes in there with a gun and starts shooting people. So I pull out my gun and I shoot him. Let's say I even shoot 2 innocent bystanders in the process, even though I'm well trained, because it's just a confusing situation, it's chaos. If I shoot him before he kills a number of people, is the scenario still not made better by the fact that I had a gun? Of course it is. Now, that's not to say that there's no problems with the fact that conservatives that they think that the solution is more guns. There's plenty of problems with that. But that's not one of them. And liberals just put on the blinders of like, oh, and that's not even a slight against liberals. That's a slight against all ideologies that expect the total devout devotion of their followers. Think for your fucking selves.